Hey guys, it's Issa with Journey to Programming. It's been a little while since we last posted a video. A lot's been going on with COVID and some family stuff, so kind of took a little break, but we're back now, so hopefully we get to keep on pushing out videos on a consistent basis, and I'm hoping to jump back into some of those other series I was trying to work on with doing job reviews of posts on like Indeed or other job boards, and then also doing more tutorials to help you guys out. And yeah, I'm gonna jump right in here. So I recently got a question. It was actually something I answered on a forum, basically saying, how did I go from being a newbie in software engineering and development in 9 months and become a software engineer full-time, basically. And yeah, the question put that exact face on me when I read it the first time. So I was kind of confused. Basically, they're asking, how do you go from being a complete noob in the programming software engineering world and becoming a professional with a job offer in 9 months? And, you know, I didn't really think I was the best person to answer this because I'm not that person. I did not go from absolutely no experience as a developer to getting a job as a developer in 9 months. It took me actually several years. And what I said back to them was basically the following. So I began programming at a pretty young age. I've told you guys before, I was a teenager, got experience programming from my older brother, who was just interested. He was self-taught. He figured out how to code and worked for a few companies and ran his own business. And when I was in like middle school, he basically gave me exposure to programming while he was running his own shop. And I would occasionally go in. I learned web development. I began doing front end. And then really what I ended up doing and making money off of on and off was helping with back-end projects or full stack projects using PHP and just like a normal LAMP stack. So we did a lot of like simple web pages with user logins and authentications, and then setting up shopping carts for people. And this was probably the early 2000s that I got exposure to it. So it was a pretty good time to be jumping in. But I did that for like 4 or 5 years before I went and did a computer science degree. So if you add that up, I have 4 or 5 years kind of doing freelancing as a young kid. And then I went and did a 4-year program for computer science at San Diego State. It was a 4-year program, took me 5. But I did do a few other things while in that program. I played sports, and you know, I wasn't necessarily the best student, so I took an extra year, etc. So it took me 5 years, graduated with my 4-year degree in computer science, and after that, even then, I did not land a job. It was like 2011, 2012. And I did not land a job right out of college. Instead, I began a company with my brother and a few fellow students or graduates, and we ran that company for about 3 years. And what we did is we full-time would provide production services. So we had a lot of variable skills. We did like photography, videography. We had a recording studio, but then all of that combined into a production studio, and we do films, music videos, and then outside of that being a income generator, we would develop software, and we'd sometimes bring in some software development clients here and there. And yeah, we were able to survive and actually had an office space for about 3 years. And slowly it beat us up, beat us down, and we kind of disbanded. That's what ended up happening there. And at that point, I got a software engineering job. That's when I went and worked for Lockheed Martin. So let's go ahead and kind of reverse there, or let's calculate how many years that was before I got a software engineering job with a company. I had 4 or 5 years as a teenager, kind of going through high school, and then I had a 4-year degree. So that's, let's say, 8 or 9 years. And then out of college, I did interview as a new grad with a few companies. I just didn't get an offer. And I didn't get a lot of interviews, to be quite honest. I didn't do an internship. So I didn't have that corporate experience. I had the computer science degree and I had development experience from doing my own freelancing, but I didn't have corporate knowledge or corporate experience. So I didn't really understand that process, and none of my friends or colleagues had that knowledge either. So I came out of college and I went to these interviews and I got beat. So that was a really big rude awakening for me. And I've talked about it in my other videos. Coming out of college and getting denied by a bunch of jobs really was hard. And thankfully, I just kept on moving forward. But I've seen that affect other people negatively and more harshly, where they've taken it and basically quit trying to become programmers and software engineers because they just found their first year was impossible to get through and get a job. So that's why in other videos and other materials I put out there, I tell you guys, you need to, first of all, prepare for the technical interviews. That's a very common thing. I've been in the industry long enough to know that. And then I've also gone through many of the great resources there are out there to prepare you, and the websites that are there to prepare you for your coding interviews that you will inevitably have to do. So that's something you should definitely be aware of. But I was not when I graduated. It was new to me. It beat me up. That almost put me down, but it didn't. I kept moving forward. Started that company I told you guys about. So that was another 3 years of experience. So at this point I'm at 4 to 5 plus 4 for college plus 3. So about 11 years, right? 11, 12 years. And then when we closed shop, I was between 2 offers. So BAE Systems and Lockheed Martin. And BAE Systems basically told me they gave me a verbal offer at the time. And I was ecstatic about these offers, by the way. I was like excited about becoming a corporate software engineer. And anyways, they gave me a verbal offer. When it came to giving me a written one, they never did. They actually said the position was removed and they were looking to find another spot for me. Lockheed came in with an offer. I accepted that offer. It was for a software engineer position out in Fort Worth, Texas. And I moved out there. So again, when I got this question, I was kind of confused because I don't know a lot of people who have gone from not being technically experienced or not having a lot of programming experience to becoming a full-time software engineer within 9 months. That is fairly rare. It's not impossible. You definitely hear about cases like that, but it is quite rare. And I'll tell you, in my experience and with all of the colleagues I've had over the years and friends I've made through the many jobs I've done, very few have got to where they are or have been in a position where they're working with me without a few years of just experimenting and self-teaching or having done a computer science program. I don't think I've ever met anybody that's only done 9 months of prep and then gotten a full-time job somewhere. But I do have some friends, and I have read or heard of cases where people go to boot camps, come out of it in like 6 to 9 months, and then land a 100K job. But usually I found that those people become a very niche developer in a specific web stack with a specific framework. So I'm not going to say that they're not software engineers, but I'm going to say that those are very rare cases. Even the ones that are successful in those boot camps are far and they are few, I guess is what I'm trying to say. There's not a ton of them. They graduate, they know a specific tech stack, and they're good at implementing in that tech stack, but they may not have that well-rounded engineering or background to allow them to kind of do an end-to-end software development process where they have to use different stacks, different languages. Most of the time they're going to be stuck with that one stack, and then it'll take them a while of work time and experience to develop the ability to change between languages and think about the back end as well as the front end, and then think about the more complex design pattern decisions they're going to make for scalability and stuff like that, or to realize that you don't need to over-engineer. So yeah, I thought this was an odd question. Anyways, I just wanted to let you know that was my experience. It took me, what was it, 11 or 12 years, and then I got in the industry with Lockheed Martin. Sure, I probably could have done it faster had I known just out of a four-year degree program that studying for the technical interviews was so important, and having that whiteboarding coding experience would have just been all the difference. Then I would have prepared for it back then. At least I think I would have. Maybe not. I was stubborn, and I probably would have been lazy and not done that. But I would like to think that I would have. And then I could probably say that even without my 4-year degree, I had about 4 or 5 years of web dev experience. I probably could have just studied for the coding interviews at that point without a college degree and gotten a job at that point. Do I think I could do it now? Or do I think that somebody could do it now within 6 months to a year with no prior background? I think that's a really big challenge for most people, and I don't think very many would be able to do it. But yeah, I guess I do think you could, but you need to be focused for that 6 months to 1 year, whatever that kind of time period is. You need to learn a lot of different kind of material. You don't necessarily need to learn every language, but you need to understand kind of your data structures, your algorithms, your front end, your back end, enough so that you can write a full stack application without needing to reference a whole bunch of other people or copy and paste code constantly online without being able to solve like issues that come along and require you to actually think. And then if you just study for those tests or the coding interviews and you practice for 6 months to a year, then you probably could do it. I really do think that's true. It's just in my case, when I got asked this question, I know that it didn't take me 9 months. It took me years. And I think that's just more realistic. Hopefully this helps you guys. If you guys are looking to jump into software engineering and you want to go to a big top tier company, make sure you do your whiteboarding practice. You want to make sure you are checking out LeetCode and the other kind of whiteboard coding websites out there. There's a lot of resources. I do a little bit of content around that subject too, but there's a lot of other folks that do it on YouTube. There's also Cracking the Coding Interview, very common book to read. And if you want to learn more about the process of interviewing, definitely check out more of my content or check out my book on Amazon. That's one that I cover basically the interviewing process, but I don't go into depth on the coding interview specifically. I talk more about the way that you should expect the interview process to work, how applications work within the tech industry, how often you're likely going to get denied based on your application numbers and your resumes, etc. But yeah, if that's what you're looking to do, definitely follow up, reach out to people, learn as much as you can, and don't be afraid to apply and get denied, okay? If you like this video, please do subscribe and comment down below. Have a good one, you guys.